personal portrait. I hope you know that by now on KTAR.com, because I love the idea of being able to introduce you to people that live fascinating lives. But in this case, it is in the company of someone who leads a really fascinating life, traveling around the world, as Louie Thiele has and still does. But it's about the cruise industry, and the cruise industry really is kind of the focus of the show. Louie, your official title?
Well, I'm the co-host of the KTAR travel show at 2 o'clock on Sundays. I've been the co-host for the last 12 years.
And no, we didn't just walk down the hall and grab him and say, come on into the studio and talk about the cruise industry. We've been talking about this for a long time. With all of the problems that cruise ships have been having of late, why are they building so many more new ships?
Well, because cruising continues to be one of the most popular vacation choices there is. It has the absolute highest satisfaction rating of any vacation choice. And because of that and the marketing in the cruise industry, it continues to attract more and more new people, so they've got to have more and more berths. And so the cruise lines are expanding and continuing to develop larger and larger ships. Largest ones now, largest cruise ships in the world, 6,400 passengers.
That's not a ship, it's a town.
It's a city, yes. It actually has neighborhoods. That's what they call them.
But with the reality, though,
Yes.
of the marketing of the cruise industry, they really have to be good, considering the fact that they also have to make us forget that not that long ago, a cruise ship, the Costa Concordia,
Yes,
ran aground,
yes.
apparently as a result of the captain not paying attention, just to briefly do the story. And there were people lost.
There were 32 fatalities.
Yeah,
yes.
as a result of that. Illnesses
Yes.
on ship. So why is it people haven't been discouraged?
Well, compared to almost any other type of vacation, whether it's land or anything else, the percent, even with that terrible accident, the percent of people that get injured or sick or fatality is so small compared to the massive number of, millions of cruise passengers every year, that the overwhelming positive experience of the cruise industry has overwhelmed that negative image to the point that even less than a year away from that incident, cruise bookings are actually now at the same level as the year before, and with some lines even higher.
Let's talk about the health hazards, though.
Okay.
So I get on a ship, and I like cruising.
Yes.
I like smaller ships.
Yeah, there's a
rather
wide
than
range
those
now,
huge
wide
things.
choice of sizes. Yeah.
But what I wouldn't like is that which I have not experienced, and that is some rampant disease, some plague going through the ship, and not only having the cruise canceled, but having people in the hospital.
Yes. Well, this is one of those situations where this particular virus, which is identified as the culprit, it's called the norovirus. It's been with humans apparently ever since the caveman days, but we've never presented it the opportunities to affect large numbers of people in an enclosed environment in order to spread the disease as quickly as it can be spread. And so the cruise industry has been particularly victimized by this, although it has happened in hotels too, with conventions and whatever. So it's a real issue, and the cruise industry is doing everything they can to keep down the chance of people spreading the infection. They can't do anything about people coming on board and bringing it. The cruise industry doesn't cause this to happen. Unfortunately, the situation of the cruise ship just provides an excellent breeding ground to pass it from passenger to passenger. So there's things you can do to protect yourself.
Like a great big huge vat of Lysol.
Well, it's called
wash. Somebody has to do something.
It's called wash your hands frequently. The cruise lines have put literally extra staff on wiping railings, wiping off all of the surfaced table surfaces and whatever in order to try and disinfect everything possible. But as you walk around the ship, especially going into the eating areas, the buffets and whatever, they have the hand sanitizers there, and they encourage you to use them and whatever. One of the biggest things that I tell people on our radio show that are going on cruises to try and avoid this is, on the modern day cruise ships, there are many, many elevators. There is no reason you can't take an elevator to go between floors. Well, the ship is moving, so if you choose to take the stairs, which a lot of people do because they want to burn off some calories, you're going to hold that handrail. Well, everybody else is holding that handrail too. Whereas if you take the elevator, you don't have to hold the handrail, and you're not going to touch the same surface as thousands of your other fellow passengers. So I always take the elevator these days and exercise when I get home.
Let me assure you, by the way, this this is not some anti-cruise thing that we're talking about. But these are the things as we are in the beginnings of summer, informational things that will allow you to book a cruise if you so choose with some sense of confidence. One final thing, the stories of the violence, people missing, people going overboard, women being raped.
Yes, and that does happen. The situation was much worse even just a few years ago in the respect that the cruise lines, very few of them are registered in the United States, and only if the ship is literally in a U.S. port do the U.S. laws and jurisdiction of the FBI and whatever apply. There's been some changes to that and some changes in the law which now make violence against an American passenger on a cruise ship that's operating out of a U.S. port or on a cruise where U.S. passengers are involved, that they're required to report them. So they used to not report a lot of stuff. A lot more is being reported, so there isn't necessarily a lot more violence. It's just that it's being reported now. The incident of people going overboard, especially among couples, one getting rid of the other, is because the cruise industry now has it very, very popular. Almost every new ship built literally has hundreds and hundreds of balcony cabins. So you have a chance to have access to the outside railing of the ship right out of your own cabin. And unfortunately, there have been too many incidents where somebody decided to get the husband drunk and have him manage to fall overboard. Although there was a very interesting incident last year on a Princess ship where a young couple fell overboard out of their cabin. They were undressed and they fell off the edge. There never was any discussion as what they were doing at the time, but one can only imagine. They treaded water for an hour and a half, and they picked them up.
As we close this segment, with your imagination running amok. And by the way, I want you to know that couple was not charged extra by that cruise line. Very quickly, though, give me just a couple of brief steps on how to choose a cruise line for my summer vacation.
Okay, well, one of the first things I would highly recommend is if you are not a really experienced cruiser, don't try to choose your own cruise off the internet. Go to a travel agent. The travel agent's not going to charge you any extra to book the cruise through them. So you're going to get the benefit, and try to choose somebody who has a rating from CLIA, which is the Cruise Lines International Association, CLIA, and they have two levels. They have a Cruise Line Masters, which is the top level, and then they have an Associate. And those people really, really know cruising. So they're going to be able to tell you everything about the difference between the smaller ships that you prefer and the mega ships that are 3 times the size of an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, what about listening to the radio?
You can listen to the radio and find it out that way too. But anyway.
Well, I'm not talking about any radio. I'm talking about
you can listen
show.
to KTAR on Sundays at 2 o'clock, and we'll talk about cruising frequently.
Good. Those opportunities for promos, by
I
the
understand.
way, don't often come up on KTAR.com, and this special feature that we do weekly, and that is Pat's Personal Portraits. I'm Pat McMahon.